All right, let's talk about the second 30 Days of Night comic. This is called Dark Days, and it's written once again by Steve Niles and has art by Ben Templesmith. In this, it's been about a year since the the incident in Alaska, and Stella Ullman has written a book called 30 Days of Night, exposing the vampires. Unfortunately, it's been labeled as fiction, so the human race is just not believing one bit of it. She's trying to do a book tour, which is sole purpose is to lure vampires out so she can just kill them all. Like she wants revenge for what her husband went through, and she she's going to do that no matter the cost. Um, I guess the book sold well because she seems to have like a lot of money just to spend on security. We also get these like morning star things that blow vampires' heads off, like they're just explosive morning stars, which is kind of funny. But in this, Lilith, the wife of vampire Vincetti, wants revenge for what happened to her husband. So we got an interesting dynamic between these two. Also, we have another character who her son was trying to document the vampires in a helicopter in the first story, and he was killed. She's here too, and she has video footage of the incident in Alaska. And it's an interesting sequel in it that, like, it's really kind of a character drama. There's some good action in here. We also get a new vampire who's not like the others and can kind of control his like cravings, which gives a new depth to the vampires because for the most part most of the vampires they just felt like they were kind of like zombies with like a little bit of brain. They just wanted to feast on humans constantly. This guy, he can kind of control things and just act kind of normal, um, which is interesting. There's also an element of you can bring a vampire back to life, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of interesting things. I don't think this is as good as the first 30 Days of Night. There's a little too much going on here. Also, it takes place in Los Angeles, which is like when I think Los Angeles vampires, I think like Angel, the Buffy spinoff, and it just not my thing. I appreciate an urban background instead of just Stark Barrow, Alaska. But like, it's okay. It's pretty good, I will say. Overall, like some of the aesthetic in this is a bit dated. Like Stella now looks like a blonde Trinity from the Matrix, and that's a little goofy. I will say that Ben Templesmith's art still holds up, still very good, very bleak, with a new twist on the color palette because this is a different area, so there's a little more color, a lot more browns in this than were in the previous uh, book. Anyway, what would I recommend? What would I rate Dark Days? I would probably give it a good 4.5 out of 5. It's very good, especially for a sequel coming off of the original 30 Days of Night. It's well worth your time, and it's a nice little sequel to the 30 Days of Night comic. Highly recommend. Anyway, have a nice day.